Hello and welcome to AFK Sidequest. I'm your host Rob Thursland. Joining me today is part of the furniture Luke Chu, and for the second time, Matthew Penrose. So on that completely unrelated note, Penrose, what have you brought for us this week?
You say unrelated, Ticket to Ride.
Oh shit, that's convenient.
So Penrose, how do you play Ticket to Ride?
So the main thing about Ticket to Ride is producing lines across the map. So the version we have today is the European one. I'll just get it all in the way. So we've got this nice European map. The UK is still here for a little bit longer. But the idea is that you're given a load of cards to build routes. You are given also coloured train cards, and you have to build along these routes, connect whichever cities you need to connect together. Depending on your route, you get different points. Depending on who gets the longest route, every route you complete, you get points. And then when everyone runs out of trains to play, that's it. You just count up your score and whoever has the most wins. You're given 4 route cards, so all of them have got a little score against them. If you don't complete them by the end of the game, that's taken off your total value at the moment.
Oh,
so
okay.
those big route cards, really important.
So I've noticed that there's actually a fair amount of coloured lines on there. Is there anything specific about them that we need to be aware of?
So there are coloured cards that you'll get as you're playing the game, and each one of these requires you to play that number of cards of that colour. Say for this one here, you need to have either 3 yellows or 3 whites, and you can occupy one of these lines. When you've got those, you can play them and put your pieces down. So you'll get 3, which is 4 points, and you'll count along 4 for your score.
So the Grace, can I just play anything there?
You can just play any 4 of the same colour.
Oh, they have to be the same.
Some of them require a special train symbol, so there's cards in there which they can count as any colour. And the tunnels, they work like the other grey routes. I've completed my tunnel, I put my 8 down on here, I draw 3 extra cards. If any one of those are yellows, I have to play another yellow out of my hand, otherwise I can't have that line.
So do you have to get 1 per yellow that's drawn?
Yeah. So you do have that flexibility. This could take you 11 cards to play.
There is also, I've noticed in the box, little, I think they're stations. What are they for?
Unfortunately, this game does not support bus replacement services. So let's say I wanted to get from Paris to Berlin, let's say. I had a route between Frankfurt and Berlin, and 2 other players had a route between Paris and Frankfurt. I can't get there.
Yeah.
I could try and go round, or I could use my station token, put it on one of their lines, and if I had to connect those 2, I can count that line as mine. If at the very end of the game, when you are working out who has the longest train, you can't use someone else's section.
So is there a benefit to not using your stations?
You do get, for every station you have at the end of the game, you do get 4 extra points.
Is it on the board or in your hand?
Oh, in your hand, sorry. For each station you don't play.
That's a pretty decent run up of the rules. So we're all going to go away now and play the game. We'll be back in a few moments to tell you just what we thought. Well, we're back, and I'm very sorry to say that the role that Luke was on has very, very swiftly been derailed. Congratulations to Matthew Penrose, this week's winner.
First thing, that I'd like to thank my parents.
So, Luke, what did you think of Ticket to Ride?
It's a really fun game, Rob. I feel like it's got a lot of good to offer, but there's a few things I feel need to be fleshed out more or explained better.
I'm sensing a little bit of bitterness, but we'll come back to it. Penrose, I'm guessing you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I very much did. Nice and simple to set up and play, and it's a lot of fun. Quite quick, actually.
There's a degree of luck to it and there's a degree of skill to it, and it isn't like one over the other. So I think it's one of those games where everybody's in with a relatively fair chance of winning it.
I think you also need to be careful with who you're playing it with. If is anyone able to work out where you're going,
then
they can just stop you.
Yeah. Now, one thing I did think was a bit of a mess up was they were a bit unclear with the rules when it came to the face-up cards, because obviously it's down to if there's a joker, if there's a train, a multicoloured card in that pack, you can only draw that card. But it isn't really very clear as to what happens if you draw a card and then the next card to replace it is a joker. Because we ended up house ruling it to say that you can't take that.
Yeah, something just to say that if you draw a joker card from the face-up, it counts as both of your draws.
Yeah.
With building the routes as well, another thing to be careful of is like how you do them. Because obviously with your long routes and your short routes, you've got your 2 cities. If you're working from each city towards each other, someone can easily get you in the middle.
Yeah,
if you're just going from one to the other, there's so much of the board left to cover that they won't necessarily know where to go.
That's not so bad because you've got the train station, so you can actually still continue your route.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really lucky.
Because I play the American version and I don't play the Europe version often, I completely forgot that stations exist as like an extra tool. I feel like it doesn't really need to be there. I feel like the station kind of gives you an easy way to go, oh, you fucked me, but I can just do this. Like you gone through the whole thing, you wined, you dined, and you played your cards right, and you got in, and you fucked me. And I should just accept that and move around it. But it just feels like one of those things that they did in school where I tagged you, but you go, but I've got this thing now, so it means I haven't been tagged. Fuck you. And I feel that's what that stations do.
Personally, I quite enjoyed playing Ticket to Ride. We did 2 test games on the run up to this one. And the first one we did, there were 3 of us. And it was an odd one in that we had, me and Luke were competing for space on one side of the board. And on the other, the third player was pretty much just able to carry on as they wanted to without any competition. On the game we played with 4, there was a lot more crossing over and there was a lot more fighting for space. And that became a lot more important for the game. And I think that is where Ticket to Ride was more fun for me, when you have that competition kind of driving you in different directions. Who would you recommend the game for?
Well, I played this game with people who were new to board games, and they hadn't played it before at all. Did a round of it, they quite liked it, did a second round of it, and then throughout Christmas we decided to play Ticket to Ride at least 4 to 5 times. So they got really into it really quickly. So I think this is a good introduction to more advanced board games rather than like Hungry Hippos or fucking Connect 4. It's kind of the staple of, oh, you've got your Catan, you've got your Ticket to Ride, you've got your Munchkin, you know, you've got your...
But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Ultimately, it's on the entry-level list because it's a good game.
Yes.
So Penrose, how much does it actually cost?
So the European version was £40. Different variations cost different amounts.
About to say, that game has never really gone down in price, which goes to show really how much it gets bought, I suppose.
It's done by Days of Wonder, and it's also got Alan R. Moon's name on it as well. So
Alan Railway Moon himself.
Alan Railway Moon. Age-wise, 8+.
Yeah.
I'd say that's actually a reasonable age category for it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have massive complexities to it. I mean, if they need help with some basic maths. It's 2 to 5 players. The more players, I think, the better. I can't imagine this being fun with 2 people.
We played it with 3 and 4 the last few times we played it. I would probably say, I think 4 was the ideal number to play this with. Like, I feel like 5 might be just a bit too hectic. And 2 would be too boring.
When we did our version, when I won, we were nice and mixed around. If the more players, you have to be, really have to think about which route you're going to take, getting your cards ready, how many routes do you have.
Don't make it obvious where you're going, just don't make it obvious.
Yeah, don't make a really long route and then just have 4 spaces in the middle and forget stations exist.
And then when it's not your turn, be like, well, I'm going to end this game because I got all my trains out.
One thing with the map, I mean, it's quite a large map, and when you've got 4 or 5 players and you're sitting on a side each, or you're sharing a side, half of you are going to be looking at upside down. You do have a little reference card for the score, but you don't have like a reference card for where all of the cities are.
I noticed on the cards that we got, it had, my one was in the bottom right of the map, but the card I had suggested it was way higher, and I was kind of searching around, I was like, where the hell is my city?
And then you kind of make it obvious because you're staring at one side of a map, just going like, has anyone seen London?
I think we can all say safely that we did enjoy Ticket to Ride. Again, it's an entry-level board game, but that's because it's a good board game. Like, it's worth having in a collection because you'll always find that it will have an audience, people will want to play it, and it's very rare that you'll find somebody who actively dislikes it.
I love the game, but I suck at Ticket to Ride.
There's also a PC version of this now, isn't there? Yes, they've released a computer release of this one.
But we're called AFK, not Keyboard. Welcome to Keyboard.
Can you please not?
So thank you very much for joining us on this very railroaded episode of AFK Sidequest. If you enjoyed watching, please make sure to like, share and subscribe, click that notification bell, and like a freight train, we'll be sending content to you whether you like it or not. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.